Hello, and welcome to my brief explanation of how I built my first card project for Udacity's Android Development for Beginners class. I decided to make a Valentine's Day card for my wife and sketched out this simple framed card with roses in the middle and text at the top and at the bottom. I wanted to have a frame around the picture, like so, with a color bar in the middle behind the image. This meant that I had to use a relative layout so that the image view would float on top of the others. I also had to find an image with an invisible background. Finally, I had to use IDs for some of the views. But what I'd read is that we should not name everything, so I only put IDs on the views which would be needed to relatively place the other views, as you will see in the actual XML file. Now, I initially thought of using text views with no text and using their background attribute to set the colors. This actually worked fine, and I did use a lot of them though. Now here is the card as it turned out. And the first thing I wanted to point out is that I actually didn't use text views all the time, but used views where there was no text. And the reason for that is because text view is a child of view. And if I'm not using text and there's no need to use text, I can just use the view and make it a little bit lighter weight application. Now, another thing I wanted to show is you'll notice that there's no action bar at the top. The first thing I did before putting this card out on the discussion forums and for feedback was to read through to see what mentors were saying to the other people, and this was the number one suggestion, was get rid of the action bar. So the way you did that was going to the styles file and changing the parent theme to no action bar. Originally it defaults to dark action bar, so setting it to no action bar gets rid of it. Now, I styled each one of the views width and height depending on where they're sitting on the card. Some of them are set to, their widths are set to match parent, like the text views are all set to match parent. But some, like, let's see, this one, that's match parent. This one is, the width is hard-coded to 50 dp. And so is the one on the other side, is 50 dp. Now the text views themselves, the top line and the bottom line, have a height of wrap content. And they also have padding around them, so they give a little bit more room around the text for the color. Now you'll see in here that these all look like they are hard-coded, but actually they're not. So that was the other thing that you saw in the discussion forums, is that the best practice is to put all hard-coded values in a values resource file, such as dimension or strings or styles or colors. And if you hover over this, you'll see that this is actually not a hard-coded value. It's coming from the dimension resource file under a setting called base padding. So if you open up that file, dimension, you'll see base padding is 20 dp. I also have another one called text style size of 24 sp. And so if you go over here, you see that there's a 24 sp and its dimension. Now, Android Studio makes it easy for you to put these into resource files. If you type it in initially without putting it in a resource, it will flag it as something that you should put in into a resource file. Like here, hard-coded string from Gary should be in the string resource. So I'm going to show you how to put it in the string resource. You just go over to this light bulb right here, press here, extract string resource, and you can either accept the default resource name or you can put in your own. Then hit enter and you're done. Along the side here, you'll notice that there are warning bars, and you can just go through and see what the warnings are and whether you should actually do anything about it. So here's the only warnings I have left is font family is only used for API level 16 or higher, and that's because I have my current API setting to 15 or higher. I'm just going to ignore that warning because I wanted to get a different font family in here to have signatures. And so that was the cursive font family. I thought it looked better than just the regular sans serif font that's usually on there. Okay, one thing I used a lot of was the colors resource file, and one problem I ran into using this is I thought the default value is color primary dark. So I thought, well, what I do is I'll just add a color called color primary light. Unfortunately, it caused my whole application to fail to compile, saying that it couldn't find the color primary light definition anywhere. Even though I had it right here in this file, it just said can't find it. So I just gave up, made up a new color called color light pink, and that worked just fine. Now, I wanted to show you some of the power of using these resource files, and this is the whole reason why they say to do it, is that you can make massive changes to your application by changing the value in one place. So for example, if I wanted to change my color to black, then I just change it in one place, and then all the views that had that as a resource now are black. Now it is an ugly card. So that is all that I wanted to share today. I also wanted to point out that I followed material.io suggestions for colors and font sizes, because it's that's another thing that they'll be saying on the discussion forums. They should be doing that. So that's all I had to share today. I hope you found this helpful and informative, and thank you all for watching, and have a great day.